Managing Director and CEO, Mr. Sanjay Katkar, Joint Managing Director and CTO, and Mr. Nitin Kulkarni, Chief Financial Officer. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touch-tone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Nitin Kulkarni from Quick Heal Technologies Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Lezen. Hello and good evening, everyone. Hope all of you and your families are safe during this pandemic times. I am pleased to welcome you all to our earnings call to discuss our Q4 and financial year 2021 results. Please note a copy of all our disclosures are available on the investor section of our website as well as stock exchanges.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Kulkarni. We are not able to hear you.
Okay. I'm pleased to welcome you all to our earnings call to discuss our Q4 and financial year 2021 results. Please note a copy of all our disclosures are available on the investor section of our website as well as stock exchanges. Please note anything said on this call which reflects our outlook for the future or which could be construed as a forward-looking statement must be reviewed in conjunction with the risk that the company faces. Let me now hand over the floor to our MD and CEO, Mr. Kailash Katkar, to talk about major developments and key initiatives. Over to you, Kailash.
Thank you, Nitin. Good evening to all of you. Thanks for joining us today to discuss Quick Heal Technologies Limited financial result for Q4 and entire year financial year 2021 results. I would like to take this opportunity to update you about the major development and initiatives for the quarter as well as some highlights for the year. Before I begin, I hope you and your family are safe and taking proper care while dealing with this pandemic. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the frontline staffs and public authorities for their continuous effort in containing this pandemic and keeping us safe. Before starting with a brief update on business performance, I would like to inform you that share buyback program was approved by the board of directors as well as the shareholders of the company. CFO Nitin Kulkarni will give you more update on it. We have delivered a strong finance performance during the quarter. Despite this disturbance caused by the pandemic, Nitin will cover our financial performance in detail in his commentary. During the year, we have strengthened the leadership team with the appointment of Mr. Vibhuti Kaur, R&D and Engineering Head, Mr. Sanjay Agarwal, Chief Product Officer, and Mr. Amit G, Strategy Head, and at the same time focus on building new capabilities. These initiatives have accelerated new product development efforts, and in fact we have recently launched Seqrite Hawkeye, the first in the series of new product launch plan. Seqrite Hawkeye empower enterprise to enhance their security visibility and manage multiple points product from the single console. Now I would like to hand over the floor to Mr. Sanjay Katkar and Joint Managing Director and CTO to discuss the latest cyber security threat. Over to you, Sanjay.
Thanks, Kailash, and good evening, everyone. So during lockdown, the online sales jumped up as physical delivery wasn't available. And as you all know, Quick Heal has 25,000 retail partners across India. and who were hit due to pandemic. And the increase in our business coming from increased laptop sales during pandemic got reflected in the second half of the year. We are seeing more confidence from most of the retail partners with respect to the demand. However, we are cautious due to liquidity issues in the retail dealers ecosystem and hence does not want to increase exposure. Approximately 80% of our business is retail and 20% is enterprise. Within enterprise, government business, which constitutes 15 to 70% of enterprise business, was degrowing as they were not spending enough on the cybersecurity due to COVID pandemic. Many of the decisions in government sector has been kept pending, I mean to say delayed because of the current situation. So SMEs are high percent of enterprise which were hit the most during lockdown and recovered during the later part of the year as restrictions were lifted. We are focusing on the SME segment in which we have 6 to 7% market share and we plan to enter into large enterprise segments soon. So as we scale up and we keep raising them, we are gradually starting addressing certain aspects of cybersecurity in the enterprise market segment. The focus is to increase the enterprise revenue share for the next few years. Retail business, which grew at low single digits during initial part of the year, picked up in Q4. The run rate in retail reached closer to pre-COVID levels during Q4. Coming to the trends in cybersecurity market, most of the 2020 infiltration attacks see a noticeable shift on a newer attack surface formed due to remote working model and changing modus operandi of business worldwide. And second, we observed that the total number of malware attacks dropped by almost 35 million compared to 2019. But this was mainly due to the reduction in the threats like adware and potentially unwanted applications like PUAs.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Sir, this is the operator.
Yeah.
Sir, we are not able to hear you clearly. Your voice is breaking up.
Okay, just a minute. So is this clear now?
No, sir, it's still the same.
Okay. I have put on the earphones now. I think this should be okay. Yeah?
Yes,
Hello?
please proceed.
Yeah. So I was saying that coming to the trends in cybersecurity market, most of the 2020 infiltration attempts see a noticeable shift on a newer attack surface formed due to remote working model and the changing modus operandi of the business worldwide. So at second, we observed that the total number of malware attacks dropped by 35 million compared to 2019. But this mainly was due to reduction in threats like adware and PUAs that are the least harmful in nature. Simultaneously, the dangerous threats like trojans, ransomware, and infectors have also escalated. Primarily because of the new vulnerabilities that have popped up due to the work from home and virtual learning culture. So we believe that the rate of lower, less systematic attacks, higher targeted dangerous attacks will continue in 2021. Now, I would like to conclude my remarks by stating that demand will continue to remain strong for security products and solutions as they become more and more reliable on digital infrastructure to solve our day-to-day needs, such as being connected to the work reporting, the digital learning and payment. All this is definitely going to help cybersecurity market. So I would like to hand over the floor to Nitin Kulkarni to discuss our financial performance.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Sir, hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We missed the last part.
Okay, I'll repeat. I think there's some connectivity issue. Is this okay? Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I was saying that I would like to conclude my remarks by stating that demand will continue to remain strong for cybersecurity products and solutions as we become more and more reliable on digital infrastructure to solve our day-to-day needs, such as being connected to work remotely or digital learning and digital payments. And this will definitely help cybersecurity market, and I'm like more bullish towards that. So I would like to hand over the floor to our CFO, Mr. Nitin Kulkarni, to discuss our financial performance with you.
Thank you, Sanjay, and again, good evening to all of you. As informed by Kailash in his opening commentary, I also would like to brief you on the share buyback program, which has been approved by the board of directors as well as shareholders of the company. The company had proposed to buy back up to 6326,530 equity shares at a price of rupees 245 per share, payable for an aggregate amount aggregating up to 1550 million, 155 crores. The buyback shall be undertaken on a proportionate basis from the eligible shareholders through the tender offer process and as per the stock exchange mechanism as specified in the SEBI circular. Buyback is being undertaken by the company after taking into account the operational and strategic cash requirements of the company in the medium term and for returning surplus funds to shareholders in an effective and efficient manner. Before moving on to financials, I am happy to share that Board of Directors has also recommended a final dividend of rupees 4 per equity share with a face value of rupees 10 per share for financial year 2021. This is of course subject to shareholders' approval in ensuing annual general meeting. With this dividend of rupees 4 per share, the total payout ratio will be about 24% on the existing equity base. Now let me take you through the financial highlights for the fourth quarter and full year ended March 31, 2021. As Kailash mentioned earlier, we were able to deliver good growth during the quarter and close the year on a very positive note. I will now take you through the consolidated financial performance of the company for the quarter ended March 31, 2021. We delivered strong earnings with robust EBITDA and PAT growth for the quarter despite the impact of pandemic. In Q4, our consolidated revenue from operations grew by 64% to YOY rupees 1053 million compared to rupees 643 million in Q4 of last year, with retail segment revenue growing by 75%, driven by mainly higher renewal rate on consumer side, along with improvement in enterprise segment. 83% of our revenue for the quarter came from the retail segment and balance 17% came from enterprise and government. Enterprise grew by 42% due to strong growth in SME segment, with Indian economy slowly recovering from the pandemic. I would also like to highlight the fact that in Q4 of last year, due to lockdown and non-availability of transport facilities, revenue in our retail segment was significantly impacted, and revenue worth rupees 280 million was pushed to the next financial year, which is being considered in 2020-21. This is the important factor to note. EBITDA for the quarter jumped by 609% YOY at rupees 538 million compared to rupees 76 million in Q4 of last year. EBITDA margin increased to 51.07% from 11.8% in Q4 of last year. In line with our continuous focus on R&D innovation, we increased our investment in R&D by 35% YOY at rupees 173 million compared to rupees 128 million in Q4 of last year. While employee benefit cost was up due to mix of increased headcount, change in pyramid structure, and marginally higher due to increase in outsourcing cost, coupled with annual increments which we had given it from 1st October 2020. Coming to sales and marketing expenses. Sales and marketing expenses declined by 29% to rupees 170 million from rupees 239 million in Q4 of last year. This is mainly on account of some of the BTL ground activities were not possible in the current year due to pandemic situation. However, we have slowly started other marketing events from H2 of this year. Our G&A cost remains lower by 24% YOY at 127 million from 166 million last year. This reduction is mainly on account of doubtful debts provision which we had made for a few dealers in our retail segment in the last year Q4, and which was partly recovered in the current year. Other income during the quarter was lower by 30% to rupees 57 million versus 82 million in Q4 of last year. This is primarily on account of reduction in treasury yields. PAT for the quarter rose by 397% YOY and stood at rupees 397 million compared to rupees 80 million in Q4 of last year. PAT margin increased to 37.73% from 12.44% in Q4 of last year. Now coming to the full financial year. For the full financial year, consolidated revenue was at 3330 million, up 16% compared to rupees 2861 million for the last year. The recovery is commendable as during the initial part of the year, business was severely impacted by lockdown. As the restrictions in economy was uplifted, business continued to recover sequentially during the year. Recovery in retail segment was stronger with 24% increase in revenue, while enterprise grew by 9%. In case of enterprise segment, in first 2 quarters of the year, government spending was less and SME segment also faced some liquidity crisis. For the whole year, 82% revenue came from retail and balance 18% came from enterprise. EBITDA for the full year grew by 55% YOY to 1415 million versus 914 million in last year. This is mainly on account of top line growth. Other income during the year was lower by 24% at rupees 242 million versus 316 million. Again, this is primarily on account of reduction in treasury rates, treasury yield for the whole year compared to last year. PAT grew by 44% to rupees 1070 million versus rupees 744 million during the previous year. PAT margin for the year increased to 32.1% versus 26% in the last year. Licenses sold. Now coming to licenses sold in retail segment during the year were up by 34% compared to last year, while the revenue was up only 24%. So this mismatch is primarily on account of change in the product mix and higher demand for lower price products observed during the last few months. On enterprise side, licenses sold during the year was up by 8% YOY and revenue was up by 9%. We noticed sequential demand recovery on the enterprise side starting from Q2 till end of the year. Now I will come to a few of the balance sheet items, mainly on net working capital. So overall net working capital days increased to 104 days versus 97 days in March 2020. The increase in working capital days was result of increase in receivables from 136 in March 20 to 150 in March 2021. The rise in receivable days was mainly due to strong sales booking in Q4, as well as liquidity issues with few of our retail dealers, where collections are delayed. We will continue to maintain our financial discipline and focus and expect the debtor days to remain about in the range of 130 to 145 days. This is what the level which we have been maintaining so far. On cash and cash equivalent, our current cash and cash equivalents is at 4809 million compared to 3877 million in March 2020. This is including investment in mutual funds, tax-free bonds and fixed deposits. I would again like to highlight that we were cautiously looking for opportunity to better utilize the cash on our balance sheet. On M&A, we again remain very cautious and calibrated in our investments, and we are looking at smaller and medium-sized investments. Our current investment in L7 is a testament of the same. We continue to monitor the progress of our investee companies, and so far we are satisfied with it. I would also like to give you an update on service tax. So the Commissioner of Service Tax Delhi has preferred an appeal against a favorable order passed by SISTAT amounting to rupees 561 million covering a period of 2011 to 2014. Now hearing for condonation of delay as well as the admission of appeal on merit basis is still awaited. Now to sum up, the demand environment was good during the last quarter with enterprise side supported by higher business activity and sharp recovery in economy. Demand for the consumer segment was aided by strong demand for PCs and laptops, mainly due to work from home and virtual learning trend. Overall business activity had started coming back to pre-COVID levels. However, with second and more devastating wave impacting our lives, economic activities and business activity may take a hit in near future. With vaccination gaining space, hopefully we expect businesses to regain momentum in due course of time. This is all on finance side. With this, now we will open the floor for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Siddhant Dand from Goodwill. Please go ahead.
Hi. Could you just explain the top line segregation between retail and enterprise? What's the bottom line, segregation? What are the difference in the margins of the enterprise business versus the retail business? We get an understanding how it would go ahead once we reach our 60-40 target.
Okay. So this is Nitin. So if you look at our segment revenue breakup, business revenue segment for the quarter, retail was at 95 crores.
Mm-hmm.
And on an annual basis, we were at 299 crores. And on enterprise side, it is 201 million.
Yeah.
For the quarter, and annual run rate was 665 million. So this is which is broadly about converted to percentage, it is 82 and 18%. So to answer your question on margin, so yes, we do track this internally on a regular basis, and as we have been saying earlier on all our calls, enterprise segment is where we are making a lot of investments now. So definitely margin is far better in retail segment compared to enterprise segment.
But like on a future guidance, retail margins will continue to be better than the enterprise margins in the long term?
So it all depends. See, enterprise, since we are making the investment, revenue will definitely pick up at some point of time, and then we will get back to a trajectory which we want enterprise segment to show it on the margin. But in the near term, yes, retail will have decent margin, and since we are making investment in enterprise segment, we'll have a lower margin to start with. But slowly we definitely expect, because the focus is more on enterprise segment, so we really expect this to catch up as we move along.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mayank Babla from Dalal & Broacha. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question, and congratulations on a wonderful quarter. So my question was regarding the margin expansion in this quarter. It was largely led by rationalization in sales and marketing and general and administration costs. So going ahead, what will be the trend in the margins, and will these costs go back to earlier levels, or are these margins sustainable?
Yeah. So yes. So this is Nitin. So I think to answer your first question, yes, we mentioned about that spillover from Q4 coming into this year. So may not be like to like compared. But if you see the revenue, revenue which we reported for last year Q4 and current year Q4, the revenue is up. So cost rationalization is to the extent of 5-6 crores, and mainly because of pandemic, we had to, as I mentioned in my opening commentary, because of pandemic, setting some of the sales and marketing events we started in H2, and that is the impact. But overall margin, if you see, it is mainly driven by growth in the top. And to answer your question on also, we don't do guidance, but we have always been saying that just don't judge us by just this year EBITDA margin, which is at 42%. Since for revenue growth, we are making a lot of investment in on enterprise side. We are working on a lot of new products, and we will be doing a lot of investments where revenue will come quickly. So with that, definitely there will be some impact on EBITDA. And if I have to give you a number, so we are definitely targeting EBITDA range between say 30 to 35%. That is what is our current estimate.
Sure, sir. Thank you. And my second question is regarding in the earlier calls you had mentioned that the physical sales or the physical sales component is more for quick heal, and which is why we were impacted during the lockdown days. Now, given that the lockdowns again are imposed in Q1, will our sales be impacted to a large extent, or if you can give some sort of qualitative guidance?
Sure. So I think if you look at retail is a more of a stock and sale model where and in Q4 last year Q4 call also we explained it in a detail that unless and until we ship the goods out of factory, unless and until control is passed, we are not able to recognize the revenue. That is the case with retail. So if stricter lockdown is imposed going forward, or if it continues for a longer time, then yes, definitely there will be some impact on our retail business. And this is purely because of we will not be able to execute. There will be demand, there will be orders, but then if we are not able to execute it because of lockdown and non-availability of transporter, this is definitely going to have an impact. And on enterprise side, today most of our revenue comes from SME and SMB segment. So definitely because of lockdown or pandemic impact, there will definitely be a lot of liquidity impact on this SMB and SMB. So that will also have some impact. So and we are definitely there. We are also seeing a lot of demand, and we with work from home, with online training, online classes, we definitely see a lot of demand, and there is a potential. But definitely we have to see what kind of impact pandemic will have in time to come. I think it all depends on that. Hope I addressed your question.
So it's safe to say that H1 will be slightly softer, and then you can expect H2 to be strong in 2022?
No, I don't want to comment anything on whether H1 will be softer or H2 will be stronger. If there is a lockdown, if there are restrictions, then it will. I mean, it definitely all FMCG business who are following this model will get impacted, and we are no exception to it. I think that is what I can comment.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vivek Ganguly from Nine Rivers Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. My question was regarding the investment and the focus that you all have on the enterprise segment. So we know that you all have hired senior people in this to lead this business. Can you give us a little more color to the layout of the business, who you all are competing against, how sales happen, and on a 3 to 5 year basis, what is the size of the business that you all would this business the ballpark figure where you all would like this business to?
I think Sanjay, can you answer this question?
Yeah. So if I understand, there are two parts of the question. So what is these new products and all the kind of business that we are focusing on, and then how is it going to impact, and what is the size based for and how it can impact in next couple of 2 to 3 years. So the products that we are focusing on the Seqrite brand are more particularly targeted towards the large enterprises, and the products are in the category where the new challenges trade landscape is getting developed based on the remote working situations that we have seen now, and more particularly I'll say the challenges that the new threats are creating, and the new working environment that is getting adopted. If you see the releases done by Gartner or IDC, it's like more and more zero trust related approaches for the products will be seen in the market, and that's where we are focused. At the same time, newer privacy laws we are expecting to be implemented, and that is going to create a newer market for a particular kind of product. So currently, I cannot say what will be the competition, because many of these are completely new aspect or new approach towards solutions. But definitely, it's a very fast-growing market is what we see based on the data and survey data coming out from the Gartners of the world, or even IDC. So more and more data is getting generated, more and more connectivity and remote connections are going to happen. So all this is going to be targeted. These products are targeting the security towards that. So I'll say it's going to be in the high growth category. These products, it includes service along with the product actually, and we are focused on the cloud-based approach here, wherein most of the products and services that we are planning are focused on the cloud approach, means any use anywhere and apply to the cloud related workloads actually for all organizations. So it's completely new approach, I'll say. So I cannot name the competitors, but definitely it's very fast growing cybersecurity category that we are targeting in large enterprises.
And for this to achieve, this business to achieve, the profitability of the overall company, would that be the 150 odd crore size where you all would achieve the same profitability, or would it be earlier than that?
So currently we are in the investment mode. It depends on, the products that we are going to release are multiple products, and the investment is going into the multiple products. So the profitability thing cannot be said right now. I need to say certain products are at the research stage and certain products are in the beta, I need to say early beta stage. So it's like it all depends even how the current situation unfolds. I need to say the spending in cybersecurity is expected to grow faster, but at the same time, it is also got stuck up with the current situation in the market, and only really, I mean to say, the solutions which are very critical are getting deployed, and most of the spending decision is delayed in a lot. But at the same time, as we see more and more attacks creating big challenges for large enterprises, the cybersecurity spending is supposed to increase. So if that happens, I am assuming a couple of years should be okay to achieve the break-even, but we can't say right now actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to add here that we are into the product development. So when it's a product development, what Sanjay mentioned about is all about what is the market demand in coming future and what kind of development things are happening. And of course, there is a cost for that development. But at the time of spending, means investing into the development part of it, you really can't calculate what will be the revenue generation, because these kind of products are totally new to the market, which are going to come not only from buyers but a lot of other competitors also. And since it is a product, it is not something customized product. It is a general product for all large enterprise customers. So definitely, once the products are released and if you get more and more customers on board, automatically the profit margin will go up. If you have a less customers on board, profit margin will be very less. So that is a different challenge once the product is released. But as on now, today, we are focusing on those development part of it.
Okay. So you have not yet released those products in the market?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not even beta testing or relation plan?
No. They are under development. It will take still 1.5 years time actually.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is from the line of Parimal Mithani from Credential Investments. Please go ahead.
So thanks for the opportunity, and I hope all of you are well. And congratulations on good numbers. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So, I just wanted to know, the trade receivable part has been more or less, same in Q4 or, end of the year. We always see the receivable part increasing. Is there any plan in terms of getting it down, or since I think the pandemic has changed the way a lot of businesses operate, and you being on the digital side of the business, are you supposed to maintain the same sales force, and is there any change in terms of sales and marketing going ahead? And secondly, in the enterprise and government side of the business, I think we come close to a critical level in terms of revenue right now. Have we reached a break-even point in terms of what we invested currently? If you can answer that, and it will be very helpful.
Yeah. So, Parimal, this is Nitin. So, first point on data. So, yes, you are right. So, if you look at the Q4 number, so whatever sale which we do in Q4, the last 2 months, that goes into data. And since we had a strong sales booking in Q4, data days, which is 150, has gone up, and even data also have gone up in absolute terms. Having said that, as I mentioned earlier, retail also see that it's a stock and sale model where we sell and then the T1 dealer liquidate it to T2, T3, and from there movement happens. And especially with the current situation, when there is a lot of liquidity pressure with these dealers. So we are expecting data days to come down in next 3 to 6 months, but it all depends on what kind of liquidity situation is there in the market. Having said that, so all these data, they are we do all due diligence. We have regular calls with the sales heads. We talk to these dealers on regular basis, and we have a proper mechanism in place whereby we don't see anything getting into a hand. So what I can say is, yes, data days are up mainly because higher revenue and liquidity issues at SME, SMBs end. And secondly, yes, so we are putting a lot of efforts on this. And but data days, as I said in my opening comment also, definitely it will remain in 130, 140 days range at least for some time.
So I just, if you can give me a breakup between direct and online sales and sales through network, what's the bifurcation?
Yeah. So online sale, there are two sale. Online sale is all direct online sale through our website.
Yeah.
And there is e-commerce portal with Amazon Cloud 10. So if I have to talk about growth since Q1, most of the things was happening online, and due to pandemic, lockdown, transport facilities not available. So if you compare it with 19-20, our online sale has gone up by about 24%. Online our site sale, and if you look at indirect e-commerce sale, which has gone up by 8%. And if you look at the composition, the online sale percentage has almost remained same. It is 22% this year and 23% last year, because our distribution revenue has gone up. So that's why percentage has remained same. But if you look at, if you compare it year on year, there is a growth of 24% on direct online sale, and through e-commerce portal we have grown by 8%.
And so on the corporate side of the enterprise side of the business, how do you see it going forward? Because I think for the first time in the Q4 you've seen growth. Maybe it's just one time or it's like recurring. I just wanted to know that.
No, so it is definitely not one time, as Kailash and Sanjay also mentioned. So definitely, see, with online work from home, there is a lot of potential, there is a lot of demand available. And we are definitely there to take advantage. So with this SMBs, we have infrastructure where we can take advantage. But again, it all depends on the situation. And if this lockdown is extended, if with pandemic impact coming in the next 3-4 months, then this SMB will definitely have a larger impact, because they will have issues on liquidity. So it all depends on what kind of impact pandemic gets. But as far as we are quite positive on our teams.
Okay. And so last question.
Piranil, if I have to answer your question.
Yes, sir.
So when you mention about the number of credit days, see, if you compare with Quick Heal Car, last 3 to 4 years all this number of days part of it, even in this pandemic situation where there is a lot of challenge of cash flow, still we could able to maintain of 150 days, which itself is a very challenging for us, but we have maintained that. And as Nitin said that while doing all this, transaction with the tier 1 partners, we make sure that, we have a right partners on board and we build a right amount of, material to those partners to make sure that we will receive our payment on, maybe not on time, but at least 100% we will receive the payment, because we have to maintain those relations with those channel partners. And in India, without credit, you cannot do business. So when there is a credit, then this credit number of days will definitely come into the picture. Sometimes there will be more number of days, but this happens every time in Q4 because Q4 has a bigger amount of sale. Okay, and when you say your second question about enterprise sales growth in coming future, is there any challenges? Of course, the demand is there in the market. The challenge is cash flow. Now, in this, you have seen that the entire year now, it is more than 1 year the pandemic is going on, and the most affected people are the businesses are the SME businesses. And when it comes to enterprise sale, our major sale happens in the SMEs and small portion into the large enterprise. And even though having such a big cash flow challenges, still we could able to grow into our enterprise sale. So we are trying all our level best to make sure that we continue grow into the enterprise sale, and we definitely wanted to grow by double digit in enterprise sale. And if this lockdown situation comes out, I feel that all businesses will come on track, and even which will be able to grow in a double digit actually.
Okay, and so last question, if I can ask.
No, on your receivables, just to add to what Kailash said, so just to give you, I will just share one data point for your comfort. So during the year, we did a sale of 430 crores, of course, after including taxes, that's why the number is higher. And we have collected 402 crores. I think almost equivalent amount is being collected. So it's not that there is a lot of stickiness. So we have been collecting the money, but then because of the current situation, there are slight delays.
Okay. And so last question, this is regarding your service tax demand, which is there. And the government has, I think the amount is 122 crores odd, which is there, including penalties. Have you tried to use any of the government schemes in terms of settling this issue, or are you confident that you'll win this with the government?
Parimal, this is Nitin. So I think I will give you a little update in this. So in January 2020, so 2011 to 2014, we are at SISTAT Delhi. So in January 2020, we had a long hearing with the department in November, December, and earlier period. And in January 2020, the SISTAT has passed a favorable order on us, staying aside this 56 crore demand. That was for 11 and 14. And this case was purely decided on merit.
Okay.
So we are very much confident that we will definitely come out of this situation.
Because if there's any adverse effect, it's almost has a big effect on our company. And to go to
when Nitin mentioned that we got a favorable order, that itself shows that we are on the right path.
Okay. All the best. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Even the auditors were putting an emphasis of matter to this point earlier in all our earlier reports. Now, after getting this favorable order from SISTAT Delhi, they are also convinced, and they also have removed this emphasis of. So we are also have clean audit report from auditors on this point as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is from the line of Milind Karmarkar from Dalal and Broacha. Please go ahead.
Hi. Congratulations on a great set of numbers. I had a couple of questions. Of course, one of that was on the enterprise business. Part of it has been answered. So I used to track the company long back. So I have met you also a couple of times. So even at that point in time because enterprise business is a large business, and especially with cybersecurity threats, I think that could be a big business. So even in 2016-17, if I'm not mistaken, we had discussed this, and you had said that you have gotten some systems which can test simultaneously many nodes, which is a requirement of banks and many other enterprises. And you were reasonably confident of growing your enterprise business. But when I see over the last 3-4 years, the enterprise business as a percentage of overall revenue has still remained same. So just wanted to understand, what are the sort of, difficulties which we are seeing in getting ourselves entrenched in this business. That was my first question.
So first and most, I think Sanjay will definitely answer this question. But I just wanted to start by saying that when it comes to the enterprise business, see, when it is a retail, customers can any given time change their existing product. But when it comes to the enterprise, even if you have a good features, even if you have a good, a lot of things which is going to support your enterprise, but the system integrator over there or the IT person will always feel to continue what he is already having product running into the systems, because changing entire systems endpoint security is a big challenge to those people, So you have to really come with not a small differentiator, but you have to really come with a very big differentiator, which will make and feel him to change the existing product. So that is a big challenge actually. So, and Sanjay will definitely explain you about what we are really facing challenges and what we are really developing towards the enterprise solutions.
Okay.
So along with that, so you rightly pointed, we had been scaling up our products, and for initial, almost like the last 3-4 years, endpoint security product has been our flagship product under the enterprise segment section of our business. And currently, endpoint security has really, the adoption of endpoint security for large enterprises has really grown for us. Actually, if you see 2 years back, we used to have like less than 10 enterprises as our customers who are having more than 500 computers. But today, if you see every quarter, we are adding more than 20 new customers who are having more than 1,000 endpoints actually. So our products have been scaled up, and we are seeing adaptation of our product endpoint security across large enterprise. Gradually, it's growing, and we are able to we are gradually getting up the market share from those large enterprises. But at the same time, as Kailash rightly pointed, it's like we are focusing not only for 1,000 to 2,000, we are focusing for more than that. It's 20,000, 30,000 nodes.
30,000,
large enterprises. And for that, we are seeing the challenge of changing from a product to a new product. At the same time, we are also seeing the newer challenges and newer threats have really made these enterprises think about the other approach. The approach that we have started seeing is about the zero trust and network security. And that's where we are also enabling our products to integrate with these large other products that are already there into the large enterprises. For example, the SOC operations for organization is having with some third party products should be integrating with that. So all those things have already started, and We have seen good results and we have scaled up. At least we are seeing also for us we are getting a chance to demonstrate our products actually.
And if you check the PowerPoint presentation which is there on our website, there is a table where we have mentioned about the large enterprises customers on board on quarterly basis.
Okay,
So,
fine.
Yeah, you can definitely go and check that part of it. And it is really, as Sanjay said, that we have our products ready for 20,000 users, 25,000 users. But getting those customers on board is not that easy.
Difficult.
Because people, they don't change existing systems to the newer system.
Yeah.
It's a pain for them actually.
Right.
So that is a different challenge. Yeah, sales and marketing is a big challenge when it comes to changing from existing system to the new system.
Okay. So do you think that along with your research, your sales and marketing efforts, especially on the enterprise side, you will have to spend some more?
Yes, you rightly pointed out. So when it comes to the sales and marketing part of it, sales team, so that's the reason I have got a lot of senior leadership people in all departments and functions. And when it comes to the marketing expenditure part of it, yes, the way we are doing it for retail part of it, we wanted to do it for the enterprise part of it also. But for that also, again, we need to have a good, a proper agency to really try. Because most of the good agencies in India are very much expert into the consumer products compared to the enterprise product, So once I get that good agency, we are already evaluating a lot of agencies. Once I get such kind of agency, I will open up my budget for enterprise marketing. But it is not something that we are not at all doing any marketing. In-house, we are definitely doing a lot of enterprise marketing. And recently, we have just launched Seqrite Hawkeye. If you just go to website, you will be able to see that. And also, we are doing a lot of digital marketing for this Seqrite Hawkeye.
Okay. My second question was on the retail product. As everything is going digital and on the net, why? Because earlier, if I am not mistaken, we were the way we sold our product was through the consultants or through, let's say, the system integration guys. But with digital and internet or cloud becoming the mainstay now, why are we? I won't say lagging, but why our sales through the net are, let's say, not growing as much as they would have? Because two things probably would happen. It would reduce our debtors also on the retail side. And so what is the reason why we are unable to sell? Or it's the typical mindset of an Indian consumer?
Yes. So I got your question. And it is all about, business understanding and business, market-driven business. It is not something that I don't want to go online. If it was not, we would have not earned a single rupee from online sales. See, we have already entire process system in place for the online sale. But that doesn't mean that I have to close down my retail shop sale and shift entirely to the online sale. And if I fail over there, what will happen? So gradually, if you see that at the time of IPO, our online sale revenue generation was close to 8%. 8%, including the e-commerce. That means Flipkart and all those things,
Okay.
Today, it has reached to 23%. Okay. So it is not in my hand. It is in market's hand.
Yeah. So,
I'm available at both the places. I am available at retail shops also. I am available at Flipkart also. I am available at Amazon also. And I'm available at our own portal also. So it totally depends upon market. If market is comfortable to go and buy online, we are available there. We are doing marketing there also. And we don't want to leave this retail shop sale also, because they are the influencer to the customer. It is something that they influence the customer. See, retail shop sale is always something which customer never thought of going and buying the antivirus software. These people who go for repairing or some other purpose, they force them to buy this product. So I don't want to lose this sale.
Okay. So I'd like to say that the answer is Indian consumer mindset is slowly changing towards online. It's taking time actually. But at the same time, in this transition, we are making sure that we are having right presence on online sales as well. So our spending on digital marketing is grown. Our presence on all the e-commerce platforms is quite high. And we make sure that collective business of the online e-commerce platform for all the antiviruses, we have still the major sharing in that action. That's what we are making sure, and we don't want to lose that as well. So as we are having grip on offline sales, we are also trying to make sure that we capture the right market share in the online sales. That's have been there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, and all the best, and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Doshi from Care PMS. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, this new product launch that you mentioned about the Hawkeye, so what kind of market or, kind of annual sales that you are targeting from that product?
See, I think I have answered this question to somebody just two questions back. When we are into product development, once we develop the product, we definitely get margin if I sell more and more number of licenses. But when the product is new, getting people on board is not that easy. Getting first 25 customers or 50 customers is very, very difficult. But once I get around 50 customers on board, then reaching out to the 100 customer is easy, and then after 100 to 1,000 customers, again it becomes very easy. So initial time it takes a bit long time, but once I would say once I see that 50 customers are on board or 100 customers are on board, then reaching to the 1,000 customer is not at all difficult. But reaching to first 100 customer is very, very difficult.
So I'd like to add to that. So Hawkeye targets the security posture market. This is something that is catching up actually. Most of the enterprises have all the endpoint security is there and gateway security is there, but people are now focusing on having a single pane visibility across the enterprise infrastructure. And that single pane visibility is something that we are giving with this product, the Hawkeye, which that's why we have named it as Hawkeye. The adaptation of this single pane visibility is gradually growing, and also it is very important nowadays that to capture larger enterprises, unless we have this kind of product, they don't even entertain. So we are with this release, we are making sure that we are there on even the security posture market, and we'll make sure that we are getting representation in most of the enterprises. So this is definitely going to help us, but the market size of this kind of product is yet under evaluation, I will say, because many a times enterprises expect that to be free with the other products actually, but it is something completely different and platform approach, and so it's chargeable, and most of the vendors are charging for that. So it's like we are gradually evolving in this market. Definitely we'll be able to talk about this after say 2-3 quarters of as we see the customers how they take it actually.
Yeah,
but it's definitely going to help us in the large enterprises actually. Yeah.
Right. No, I understand. I was just trying to understand that, if there is a competition already there in that space. So, say for example, they already have, say, sold around, say, 10,000 licenses of the similar product. So I was just trying to understand that kind of. I'm not asking that, whether the 25 clients or first 100 clients will get connected in the next 1 quarter, 2 quarters or 1 year.
I got your point. But with every new product which we come out, even I cannot dare to put a target on my sales team because people will get frightened, So unless and until even the sales team doesn't get confidence with the first 10, 15, 25 customers, even they are not able to commit anything to the management.
Okay. Fair.
Okay.
Just Q4 results. So while this work from home, there's the importance of the schools, online schooling, working from home, everything has been there for last now more than 3 quarters. So anything in particular that Q4 numbers were so good and that's showing in the numbers. So anything on that?
So it is not that way. I think Nitin has answered this question. If you see the Q4 numbers are very good because you are comparing with the last year Q4. But then you need to understand what was the last year Q4 and what was the challenges at the time of last year Q4. Nitin, can you answer this?
No, actually, my was sequentially also. No, so even if you look at last 3 quarters, we have around 70 crores.
This business is a seasonal business. You check for last 4 to 5 years. Q1 is not like a Q2, Q2 is not like a Q1, Q3 is not like a Q2, and Q4 is not like a Q3. Yeah. It is seasonal business because it is a stock and sell business. It is not something that you have a very large cyber attacks in Q4. It is not that way. It is stock and sell business. Based on that, this becomes a seasonal business.
At the same time, I will say that the relaxation on the front of pandemic-related relaxation gradually happened, and we saw a lot of people started coming out of that thought of that it's back of the mind and pandemic is back of the mind, and people started spending. So partners started seeing confidence of people coming to their doorstep. So partners also were confident in stocking the things, and so that's where we felt that Q4 we saw more confidence from the partner side. At the same time, liquidation was little bit better than the earlier 2 quarters, which has definitely helped. And we were waiting for something to at least go into the market, push the stock wherever there is a chance. Because in earlier quarter, as you see, activations were happening, but we were not able to stock, we were not able to build the partners. And all that vacuum was also created. So we were really able to do that thing in the Q4.
Yeah, okay. I think that explains a lot because in last 10, 12 quarters, September has been more generally, contributing overall as an annual. So I thought March this time has been...
And I just wanted to add, as Sanjay rightly mentioned, the activation was on track, but Q1, Q2, Q3, the cash flow in the market was very, very challenging. People were not able to pay what they have purchased 1 year back. And that was the reason we could not able to stock it. And as Nitin said that, we had, he had mentioned figures also that how much we have done sale and how much we have done the collection part of it. Yes. So getting, it is not only a challenge for selling the product, it is equally challenging to collecting the payment. Collect the payment, yeah.
Fair enough. And these multiple products that the team is working on R&D for enterprise business. So you mentioned, I think in the conversation you mentioned that we have a strong lineup, but some time more to go. So and I think one of the comment you mentioned about 1.5 years from now. So nothing is kind of on the pipeline or which is going to come out in say next this FY22.
Product development is not something like that. Product development has a bigger cycle for any product designing, then architecture, and then really developing that product, testing it, and after the product is ready, customers are not ready to onboard those products unless and until they don't see you already have a multiple customers on board. So again, that is a different challenge. Then that also takes a long time, at least 3 to 4 months.
Answer this actually. We are having multiple products under development, but certain of them, few of them, multiple, I say 2 or 3, but then couple of them should be released this financial year. But release doesn't impact revenue of that financial year immediately, because as soon as the products are released, it takes certain time for the whole ecosystem and the partner ecosystem to understand the products and reach out and grab the right customers' attention for them. So we are definitely going to do betas by, I'll say, at least 2 quarters down the line. So at least third to fourth quarter, we'll have certain betas ready, and mostly the products will be released. At least one product will be released in that category by this financial year, right? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. That helps. And the last one, the service tax demand, you mentioned that there is a 56 crore order which has come in favor of you. So overall demand is 122 crore. So is it that some number of years the relief has been given, or can you explain a bit more on that?
Overall demand is 161 crore. Out of that, so it is starting from 2011 to June 2017. Out of that, 56 crore order, we got it in our favor.
Yeah, no. So that I understood. 56 crore is a part of the order, but I'm just trying to understand: is it for particular period or particular issue of the matter?
No. It is the same case. Only thing, the department has put demand for first 4 years. Then after 2 years there was a second demand, and then for next 2 years something, it was third demand. And then the first order which has came, that had gone to tribunal, and there we got a favorable order. So second and third are still in pipeline, means they are in tribunal. So the dates are not yet come actually.
So just to add, 11 to 14 was at SISTAT Delhi, 14 to 15, 15 to 16 is at SISTAT Mumbai, and 16 to 17 is at commissioner level in Pune. So first case, which was 11 to 14, which was at SISTAT Delhi, that was decided in our favor. And if you look at subsequent years, the matter is covered. So
okay.
we are
matter.
It's the same issue, the covered matter. Okay.
Yeah. Same matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much and all the best.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Himesh from Sequent Investments. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Congratulations for the great set of numbers. So, can you give me the retail count that we ended the year with and we had in Q3 and last year?
Q3 in last year.
Can you repeat the question?
Total number of retail touch points that we have.
Touch point?
Yeah, like to how many retailers we have been selling.
So you are talking about number of license sold or number of retailers what we have?
Yeah, number of retailers that we have.
Yeah, it is. We have T1, T2, T3, T4. So it's a long distribution chain, and everything put together should be close to, if I have to give a rough number, it will be about 25,000.
And what was the number in Q3 and the same last year?
So it's more or less similar number. So there has been some churn, plus we also have added a few of the new dealers, but more or less number stays in this range.
Okay, so can we say,
if you check the PowerPoint presentation of respected quarter, this thing, you will get all these answers in those presentation.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sweta Jain from AMS Wealth. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Sir, I have a couple of questions. Sir, the first question is actually a follow-up on an earlier participant, who asked a question about the percentage of sales that we have through our online portal, the company, and indirectly that we sell on online. So do we have a breakup in that? How much is towards retail and how much is towards enterprise?
So enterprise online sale doesn't happen.
Okay.
It is only retail.
Retail.
Yeah, it is only retail.
Okay. So, and my second question is, so in terms of licenses sold, so do we track, in such a way where we know the licenses that we have sold, and can we have a split between how much licenses are sold to like a first-time user? How much of it is sold to a user, who was using some other software and then it has moved to our portal? And how much of these licenses are renewed? Like, so do we track on these parameters?
Yeah, We track.
Okay. So can you share those numbers for FY21?
Those numbers are like for the internal purpose. Nitin, can you answer this question?
Yeah. So see, basically we track these numbers, and there is a complete mechanism of tracking customer movement, whether it is 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and what is the. So if I have to talk about renewal in case of retail, the renewal ratio would be about 40 to 45%, and all other numbers also we track it, but that is more for internal consumption.
Okay. And sir, so we made a lot of, we've onboarded a couple of people at a senior level. So do we have any ESOP policy, or have we given them any such kind of ESOP policy?
Yes.
Plan?
Yes.
Okay. So we've given ESOP to all of them, sir, the senior management?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Carry on.
Okay. So, and then, sir, just a few more quick questions. Can I just squeeze them in?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So, can you share the yield that we got on our investments on FY21?
So, yes. So, you are talking about mutual fund investments.
Yes. Overall, on mutual fund, bonds, everything. So, what was the yield that we...
Current year, if you look at pre-tax yield was about 4.2%. Compared to 6.6% last year.
Okay. So, and can you give us the EBITDA percentage separately for retail and enterprise that we make?
That we track it internally, and as I said in the beginning, that retail is having a better margin compared to enterprise because we are making investments in enterprise. But that is more for internal tracking.
Okay. And so just wanted to confirm, I think when one of the participants was asking about selling and marketing and general expenses, which they've gone down this year. So I just wanted to confirm, you said that these expenses would come back, right, in FY22? Have I got that correct?
See, it is not that way. It is not something that marketing expenditure is done on percentage basis. No, it is not at all. It is done on need basis. If the need is there, we will do the marketing part of it. We will do that spending part of it. Then we are not going to look at what is the percentage it is going to happen. So with this pandemic situation, there are a lot of marketing activities which got hampered. But then we have tried to, do some other activities part of it and all this thing. Based on that, the percentage will keep on varying. And with this year, 21-22, even today, we all don't know what is going to happen in this about this lockdown period part of it. So we can't say that what kind of marketing we will be doing it, but we have to continue doing marketing activities. And if the lockdown is there, maybe the expenditure on marketing will be a bit less if the lockdown is open.
Right, sir. So my one last question. In our investor presentation, we've written that we are evaluating certain strategic inorganic opportunities. So just wanted to know, are we actively pursuing something? Can we see something in FY22?
So yes, we have a internal cell, M&A cell, and we are actively looking at right fit opportunities for us. And we have closed almost 3 transactions in last 2 years. But then, as you know, M&A has got a lot of variables, and it takes time because you should get a target which aligns to your line of business. So we are continuously on lookout for inorganic activities.
Okay. That's it from my side. So thank you so much. That helps a lot.
Thank you.
So, Lizan, it is already 5:16. Maybe if you can just take a last question.
Sure, sir. We'll take the next question from the line of Mayank Babla from Dalal & Broacha. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my follow-up. Sir, if just looking at a different angle for the sales bifurcation, so how much percent of the sales come from our partnerships with, say, laptop OEMs or PC OEMs, and what is the strategy over there?
Nitin.
So basically, we don't have any OEMs tie-up. See, it is coming through for retail. It is more through dealers, and for the enterprise, it is more to system integrators.
Okay. And sir, so these system integrators, when you say, that comes to my next question, is that so these tier 1 companies like TCS, Infosys, and everything, when they provide security as a service, you mean to say these SI players, is it?
Yeah, but they are, see, TCS, Infosys are very large SIs. For our size of business, when we talk about SMBs, these are mainly tier 2, tier 3 kind of SI system integrators.
Okay, so we look at them more as partners than or enablers than a threat to us. So security as a service is an enabler to us.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all from my side. Sorry, one last, if I could squeeze in. So you said that online sales is 22% of revenue, and it looks optically similar to last year because of the distribution revenue. So could you clarify what is the distribution?
So it is in terms of volume or value, it is much higher because our distribution sale has gone up. So if I have to give you the exact numbers, this year online sale is 45 crores on our side sale against 36 crore of last year, and indirect, which is e-commerce, is 20 crore this year against 18 crore of last year. So there is a growth, but now the percentage remains same because our distributor sale has gone up.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraints, that was our last question. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Nitin Kulkarni for his closing comments.
I thank everyone for joining the call. I hope we have been able to address all your queries. If you need any further information, you can kindly get in touch with Ernst & Young, our IR advisors. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Quick Heal Technologies Limited, that concludes this conference call. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.